Should we hold for the train when it goes by, or just blow through it? Boy, that's a train.
Chicago, am I right? Am I right?
Yeah, it's exactly what we need.
What the hell is that? Oh no! I'm gonna make
Thank you.
Conversational French.
He's got his phone ready.
Maybe.
This is
Sacre bleu. Allons-y. Je te défonce un peu neufement avec les Espagne, mais mon français c'est merde. Excusez-moi, monsieur, où est le monsieur aussi, s'il vous plaît? Ah!
yikes.
I had a really rarefied theater community at my university where there was student-run theater that happened in all of the spaces outside of the main space. So it was like 11 p.m. in the black box. They would have they would have one of those, and kids would come and whatever, right? Like, but the energy of that and like that. There hasn't been an opportunity for that, something like that, on any kind of, I'm going to use quote unquote, like professional level. These are certainly professionals, but like the atmosphere of openness, of celebration, of joy, which I think exists absolutely in every theater department that has the opportunity for students to make their own work, creates that, and then it seems to stop after graduation and
the business part, right? I feel like
and it didn't. I mean, Chicago theater was formed by that, right? Like, I mean, that's what started Steppenwolf. That's in some ways what started the gift, right? Like people who just like were hungry and wanted to like meet each other, and then slowly people come in and say, well, actually, you have to behave, and you can't, and you have to make this amount, and like those formalities start to calcify the experience into something that feels like we got to be able to charge $50 for it, and this breaks that down.
We haven't had a day off.
That's true.
I mean, no, it's been fast and furious and wildly efficient. We started last third Wednesday, Saturday.
Hasn't even been a week.
Wow. Yeah, no, we started off at the Raven Theater, graciously opened the Griffin Theater, excuse me.
That's okay.
At the Rivendell. We do all the theater
It's
in
name
Chicago. That started the Roustabouts. We did some table work for 2 days, and then we moved into this space, and the revival's been awesome. So very rarely do you get to rehearse in the actual space that you will be doing the event, and so they've been fantastic. It's such a cool space, and it feels different in that I feel a lot of connection to Sheldon Patinkin, who was our mentor, who taught at Columbia College just down the road, and so I drive past like where I used to teach there, and I don't know. Sheldon was instrumental in starting what became Second City on the South Side, and the revival has been on the South Side for, I think was it 9 years, better 10 years, I think, and then 9 years, and then came here, and they've been here for a year as of April Fool's Day. So there's a South Side Chicago connection, and so it feels really cool to land this in the South Loop, which was just like the kind of inciting point for so much of these charged elements, and I mean Jonathan. We've known Jonathan for 20-something years, and Andrew Hinderrocker, the playwright, directed the first iteration last year at Steppenwolf, and is humble enough to know what he doesn't know, and brought John in as dramaturg and outside eyes, and then kind of passed the ball off for this version.
Yeah, and I will say I think that there's always we love being at Steppenwolf. I think one of the big things in the 1700 space, I think one of the things they are trying really actively to do with that space is to bring in other disciplines that aren't theater in order to sort of like truly broaden the audience there. But I think that that's one of the uphill struggles that they're having is, you are still walking through the door at Steppenwolf, which has sort of like a hierarchy of Chicago theater with a capital T when you walk through the door. And, in all the best ways, right? Like what this revival space is built for is improv comedy, is stand-up comedy, is specifically the sort of a place for that to happen, and so we get a different audience buy-in, but it just feels differently walking through the doors, and
but I don't even walk through the doors.
But
yeah, it's good. We can cut that off. Yes.
get it in there.
Yeah, but we've also talked about, right, like a lot about you don't ever sort of step in the same river twice, right? Like there's always movement and there's always flow. So the idea that yes, we are in a different venue, but also we're in a different time or in a different moment. These two people, myself, right? We have experienced a lot. It's been I think a calamitous. Is that the right word? 6 to 7 months, and so a play that is specifically talking about how do we speak from where we're at, and how do we honor what is happening with us, and then share it and make light from that is shared. A play that's talking about that is going to land differently now than it did, 6 months ago, and that's just true wherever you're at, right? I think everyone has a little bit of uncertainty right now, and one of the big questions that we ask is like, how do you manage that, and how can we share some light together that might help manage that? And so the play for me definitely is landing differently now than it did a minute ago. Yeah.
And kudos to our brilliant playwright Andrew Hinterrocker. He wrote a play that is both specific to the moment, yet also could be done in 10 years with minor tweaks. That makes sense and is important. So, yeah.
And isn't a play.
And isn't a play, thank you.
Is and isn't.
Yeah.
It's its own thing. There's differences. There are differences, for sure, between me and Neil. And rehearsing it this week has been a fun reminder. Like, his internal engine's faster than mine. Just his resting kind of like vortex is faster than mine. But yeah, easy to kind of get back on the horse in some ways, and then other ways you completely fall off and get reminded of how challenging of a work it is. And as Andrew says, like he'd like to think that he could write something that would give actors like me and Sid a bit of a tough time. And that's cool. Like you want someone throwing their fastest fastball at you. In terms of character, I don't know. I don't talk about my process that much.
Yeah, I hear that. And I think it also goes along with this idea of we're different people, since we did it last time, and ideally, in a play, in a run, you have rehearsed and you have, per Sheldon's advice, throughout the rehearsal process, gone through extremes to get to a place, you throw a bunch of shit at the wall and then see what sticks, what's good and what's not. And you'll have your bullet points, but then you just go. And I'm getting chills right now, because the beauty of it is like, if I get lost, I just look at this guy and it's there. So, yeah.
It happened on separate days, which I love, because we were rehearsing the play sort of chronologically, and no spoilers, but they both have. There's a moment in the first act for one of them, and there's a moment in the second act for one of them, and as we were moving through the process this week, both of them on the ride home were like, "Oh yeah, I forgot what it feels like to live in this." And I mean, I think it's something that that people who aren't actors sometimes don't totally understand, which is like, it's an Amy Mortonism, right? Like the body doesn't know it's lying.
My dad passed away in January, and I was saying to a friend in my kitchen, it was like a revelation. I was like, grief really hurts. Like, grieving hurt, and I should have known that by now, because I've done this job for 20-something years, and I know what my body feels like after. But it does. It puts you through a crunch for sure. And I like red wine. If you want to send red wine, you can get an address.
Get somebody to sponsor.
Yeah. PO box.
Yeah. There's a vestibule. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Out here, not here in the South Loop, but in the wilds of the northwest side, called Rolling Stones, and by the Harlem and Irving Plaza. And I remember getting Dennis Miller's The Off-White album, 6th grade, something like that. And I didn't understand, 99% of the punchlines. Even today, most people don't understand 99% of his punchlines. But the idea that you could play at the top of your intelligence and be kind of baroque in how you tell a story, and then land it just was thrilling to me. I listened to Bill Cosby himself before we learned that Bill is a really not a good guy at all, and a serial rapist. And then I love Norm Macdonald. He's my favorite comedian.
Andrew is truly like the comedy connoisseur, and he really absolutely dove into that scene, and he goes and sees things. Who did you all see together?
We went to an open mic at the Comedy Cellar in the Village in New York, and we saw Sam Morril went up that night, did just 10 minutes, and had his notepad and was trying stuff out. And that's a great thing about the art form too, is like to watch someone revise in real time. Yeah, I don't think it's a luxury afforded the same to theater.
No. And I think that's part of what Andrew's trying to do, right? Like, again, unfortunately, so frequently the different art forms get siloed, and you get stuck in a thing. And I think film is starting to break some of that out a little bit, certainly with theater and certainly with comedy, and we're starting to see some of that. But again, theater has remained a little bit like tight in who it lets to come play, and I hope that this starts to sort of break some of that down a little bit.
Oh, and Mike Birbiglia is like, I have seen him, but I wouldn't call what he's doing. I don't think is stand up in all of the positive ways. Like, he's so fucking funny. Like, it's incredible how funny he is, and I'm okay if he takes 10 minutes to get around to the punchline and the story and the things. And I saw him at Steppenwolf for the last one. The old man in the pool. So great. Just like, I think that's about.
We've name checked a lot of people.
Good list.
I mean, it's been a minute since I've been back. I was gone for 3 years, and will be coming back in July. And these rehearsals have been like 12 to 5, so it's you're really putting a big sort of like damper on what I can do. But because there are so many things that I've missed, and I will say that like you know, and this seems cliched, but like the Art Institute is non-paralleled. Like it's just, and you can spend. I love it because you can do it, a version of it in like 3 rooms in 20 minutes,
Totally.
and get something quick, or you can spend a full day there. But I've missed that, like just being able to like pop in there on a moment.
McDonald's. I'm going to Big Star. I'm sitting outside. I'm having a nice cold beer and some tacos. I'm going to order a Giordano stuffed pizza. Yeah, I am. I'm going to go to Community Tavern. I'm going to go to Gale Street. I'm going to go to Bistro Compagne and have some great French wine. And that's a lot for 24 hours.
It is.
That is.
It
It's
is.
a lot of consuming. I'd see a show somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It would depend on what's playing and who's playing where. I still have yet to go to the Salt Shed as well. Like not just theater or stand up or improv, which obviously all 3 things we're in abundance of here.
Please come see Obliteration by Andrew Hinderaker, directed by Jonathan Barry, featuring myself and Sid Blakewell. We're at the Revival Theater in the South Loop, and we open on April 10th. And get your tickets now.
Now.